10 years, but I was just talking to a person a minute ago. I miss the students so much. I wish there was a way that I could still work and not have the workload, but have the ability to work with students. And I am getting that opportunity a little bit with my work with College Drive. When students go to sign up for College Drive, one of the options they have is to see me. So if I spark your interest tonight, contact College Drive and see if I can give you more help, if that's interesting to you. I'm going to start this speech with a couple of anecdotes about students that I have worked with over the past. The first one is Sarah. Sarah was a middle school student that I met probably 15 years ago. Her school was participating in a grant that was providing adult women for the young girls in junior high to connect and essentially form mentorships. So what we did with the program, we were with it for about 4 weeks, and we visited probably 10 or 12 different organizations. And the girls got to meet face-to-face with some of the mentors that we had arranged for. One of the places we went was NREL, the National Renewable Energy Lab, which is in Golden. And that particular day, Sarah got on the bus, and she was not happy. She had just gotten caught doing something that she wasn't supposed to be doing. She was really a wild child. But she was interested in what we were doing with the careers. So we took them to NREL, and we had a female scientist, 2 female researchers, and a female engineer. And we had a seminar with those people. And then, Sarah got back on the bus, and she sat down next to me, and she said, "You know, I'm very smart." And she had just talked to the woman in engineering, so the wheels were starting to turn. And I said, "Oh, Sarah, you're very smart." Well, what she did was she went back and finished junior high, moved on to high school, and decided to take classes at Warren Tech. How many of you know about Warren Tech? Okay. She spent half a day at her home school and half a day at Warren Tech for 2 years in a row, and she studied drafting. The woman engineer had definitely made an impact on her, and the drafting was her first introduction into the field of engineering. She then went to Red Rocks Community College, and I'll put a plug in here for community colleges, and studied drafting for 2 more years, then applied to the Colorado School of Mines and became an engineer. She is an engineer today because I still keep in touch with her. So that's kind of a warm fuzzy story that I like to point out. A student who was not a very good student. The student had no real mentors in her life. And, I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up about it. So a student who learned early on that she wanted her career to be, I'm just going to have to talk. The next student is Andrew. Andrew required glasses when he started sports, and it made such an impact on him, the influence the glasses had and how much better his game was, that he really started taking an interest in optometry. So he did this himself. He went to his optometrist and asked if he could intern with him. And he planned the whole thing all by himself. He did indeed intern with this optometrist for 4 years while he was in high school. And then he went on to college, studied mostly pre-med majors, and then went on to optometry school at the University of Indiana, which is one of the best in the country. And he now has his private practice. He never ever swayed from wanting to be an optometrist. It was just a straight shot for him. 2 students that discovered what they wanted to do in middle school, which is not common, but possible. The next student I want to mention is Michael. Michael did take a straight shot through high school and college because he wanted to be an engineer, and his father was an engineer. So the big influence on Michael, his father. father. Influence on Andrew was the optometrist, and influence on Sarah was the funeral engineer. So then we come to Brian. Brian started CU with a geography major. And I think he kind of picked it because he didn't know what else to pick. It wasn't a real passion, it wasn't a real interest, but he had to check something in the box, so he checked geography. Well, in his sophomore year, Brian's light bulb went on. And if I could wish this for anybody, I'd wish it for all of you, that the light bulb goes on for you to really know what your passion is. And for Brian, it happened. He wanted to be a brewmaster. And of all the things that I would imagine Brian doing, brewmaster was not it. But, and we also like to say, you know, influences, well, beer influenced Brian. But again, a real serious story. He switched his career, or his major, from geography to chemistry, finished his CU with good grades in chemistry, then went to an internship at a brewery in Washington State, completed that internship, and was hired by a company, or by a brewer, to be a junior brewmaster. He then has gone to Germany to study under brewmasters over there, has come back and now has a full-fledged title of brewmaster for this brewery. And the last little piece of that story is he brought his beer recipe to the Great American Beer Fest that comes here. I don't know how many of you know about it, but every year at the convention center, there's the Great American Beer Fest. And he won first place with one of his beers. So he's definitely followed his passion, and he loves it. The last person is Josh. Josh apparently had a straight shot through college, through high school and college, because his dad was also an engineer. But Josh ended up in college not liking engineering. It was pretty clear to him from the get-go that he didn't like that kind of work, and he didn't do well in his classes. So he kind of searched his soul in some way and said, what do I love? Well, he loved drawing. He'd always loved drawing, and I think the drawing and the drafting and engineering could have fit, but he decided to go into graphic arts. And he left the CU and went to Metro because he felt that the program at Metro was more what he wanted, and he is now a graphic artist. So all these people landed on their feet in many different ways. And one thing I want to leave you with on the discussion of these 5 students, they all had something in common, and one of that was the influential person in that student's life. And you may be sitting here saying, yeah, but you know, it's just our relatives, and they already know the relatives, and they don't have jobs that they're interested in, and it could stop with your family and not go any further. But I know, having lined up all kinds of internships and all kinds of mentorships, that I've never had someone say no to me, because people love to talk about themselves. And most people really like helping with the schools in a way that's useful and clear-cut. So if you go home and think, well, maybe there was some truth in what she said, maybe you could brainstorm some occupations that your daughter or son might be interested in, and then kind of take off. Jump out of your comfort level and take off a little bit and see if you might be able to be instrumental in helping your student find a career that was good for him. Okay, career planning. Next slide. Where does it start? As soon as a student begins to think about the future. Next slide. I love having slides. Okay, the dictionary definition of a career is a general course of action, a path one takes through life. I just want to mention the action part. It is purposeful. You give it energy. It's something that you don't just wait to have happen. You have to put your energy into it. When students start middle school, it's the first time that they have the opportunity to define their electives. So this becomes a real choice. Do they like PE better than art? Do they like music better than foreign language? Those are decisions they make, and they are the very beginnings of their path. Hobbies are also very important at this stage in their life, too. So the path starts, even though you're not aware of it quite yet, the path is starting when you start to make these preferences. Next slide. It's very important to understand that a career plan must be in place before an educational plan makes sense. So, again, I understand that Josh and Brian waited until halfway through college to make their decision, but after they did, all their courses had to fit their career. If you are lucky like Sarah and Andrew and discovering it early in your school life, then you have more opportunity to take the classes you need. Broad to specific, this is pretty simple. The more choices a student makes, the more specific the plan becomes. Next. Interaction between self and what's out there. This is what this diagram is about. In order to find a career that suits you, you have to know yourself pretty well. You have to know your likes and your dislikes. You have to know things about how you work with people. You really need to look at yourself in a way that's organized. And one of the things that does this very well for you are the interest inventories that are available through the Naviance program, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Knowledge of what's out there has to do with how much do you know about careers in general. How many careers are listed in the Occupational Outlooks Handbook, which is a huge database of all the jobs that are available, period. You can look up any, you can type in onet.com is the site you can use, and you can type in any career, and you'll get the information about the wages, about the overall definition of that career, about the credentials that are needed for that career. So ONET is a very powerful source. However, having said that, ONET is part of Naviance. So you don't really have to go to ONET. It's just another piece of Naviance. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so who am I? With the interest inventory, students can answer questions like, do I want to work alone or with people? Do I want to work indoors or outdoors? Do I want to work with things versus ideas? Just three of a myriad of questions that these inventories ask, so that the questions posed and the student can state their preferences. What's out there? Investigating career options can help you decide what's out there. The more these students explored, the more they learned about themselves and what their preferences were. How much does a nurse make? Do I need a degree to become a sports announcer? How does the field of exercise science fit into the broader health field? There's thousands of questions you can ask about careers, and usually there's an answer somewhere. A couple of career conversations. These would be abbreviated conversations that I've had with two of my students recently, and they're just to get the idea of how to start a conversation around careers at home. I would like a job helping people. Why? I would like to see people improve. Would you do it in teaching, social work, health profession? Health profession. Who do you know in health profession? Well, that's pretty easy. My doctor's physician assistant, my physical therapist that helps me with my gymnastics. Do you think they'd let you interview them? Well, sure. Well, let's come up with some questions that you want to know, and let's go make an appointment with your doctor and see if he will give you some information. Sure. Fast forward. What did you learn from your informational interviews? I really think I want to be a physical therapist. Why? Well, I need to see growth quickly, and I can continue my gymnastics. Do you want to be in Colorado? Yes. What size of college? Medium-sized college. Well, what you need to do now is research the medium-sized colleges in Colorado and find how their PT programs stack up. Fast forward, what did you come up with? Well, Regis is recognized as one of the top schools in the state, and it's medium size, so it fits my criteria and will definitely be on my list of colleges that I apply to. Second career conversation, this is Michael. I want to be an engineer. Why? I want to build things, small things like computers or large things like buildings. Buildings. What aspect of engineering building? Construction management, like my dad. What colleges are you looking for? I want to go to CU or CSU. How do those schools compare in their construction management degree programs? CU has a better program. How do you know? CSU has a better program. How do you know? I looked at the course catalog and CSU is more extensive. Why not CU? CU has a great aerospace program, but CSU is much better with construction management. So you get the point. You really have to look into the college's brochures and study and majors that are offered and things like that in order to make sure you make the right choice. Okay, next slide. Okay, when a student starts to think about college versus world of work, it's after high school. And sometimes students go into the workforce first, learn their trade, and then go back to high school, back to college, having already earned money and having a steady wage and pay their way through college. So that's one advantage of a community college. Not everybody starts at a four-year college, but a lot of times they end up like Sarah, going to the School of Mines eventually. Okay. Next, we've done that. Okay, we can skip that one. Let's skip that one. College size, liberal arts, general studies. If you're not sure of your career, you probably want to find a college that offers a great deal of general studies so you can start exploring your options. Small schools sometimes do a good job with this because you're more connected with the professors and you can network with the professors who they know and so on and so forth. But larger universities have the option of going to the general studies. Putting it all together. Next slide. Okay, 5 years ago, the state of Colorado enacted a law called the Individual Career and Academic Plan Law, ICAP. And to quote from the law, it's designed to assist a student with his or her parent or guardian in exploring post-secondary career options and educational opportunities. It's a law that students have to get this information in high school. Now, I was a counselor, and if this law had been enacted when I was doing counseling, I would have freaked. Because I would think about the 350 students I was responsible for, and all the other counseling duties that I had, and then on top of that, I was being asked to provide all this information. And it is basically impossible until software comes to the rescue. So the next slide is the role of the counselor, the number of students he has. Next slide. Naviance. Naviance is the answer to all our prayers. Not literally, but Naviance is, how many of you know about Naviance? Okay, everybody, pretty much. I just encourage you to use as much as you can of this program. It has databases galore. It has those entrance inventories right at hand. It analyzes the interest inventories and suggests careers and majors. You can plug in a major that you want to study, and it'll tell you which colleges the major is offered in. So I really encourage you to continue to use it. And if you're new to it, ask your school personnel. Your student has it on his login page, and so you can use it at home as much as you want to. Okay. Time for questions? Yes?
You had a little bit about the knowledge of self with some questionnaires. Do you guys proxy those in Naviance, or is that?
Yes.
Is that part of that process?
There's an About Me tab, and under About Me, there's 3 options. 3 options for different kinds of career testing, interest testing. And so once those print out, then the program suggests college majors and colleges that fit your interests. And you can always tweak it. I mean, it's not one of those things where it has to say one thing and you have to do it. But I find career interest inventories really invaluable in helping somebody look at themselves in a different way. And so yes, Naviance has that option. I recommend the first one is called Do What You Are. And I find that the most useful, but there are 2 others there too. Any other questions? Yes?
Can kids get on this Naviance anytime they want to?
24/7.
At any age?
at any, it starts in 7th grade. So younger than that, I don't think it would mean much to them.
And they
but
can do it at home or school?
it's a login on their login page. They have access to it, even in a laptop in the restaurants, you get access to it. And I really recommend working with your student as much as they allow you to. And, you know, sit down and kind of see. It's very intuitive. It's very easy to use because the instructions are very, very clear and simple.
And it's a nationwide thing.
I know the company is hired by, I have not found a high school in Colorado that doesn't have Naviance.
Oh, so you think it's just Colorado?
I think it's Colorado because the law was enacted in Colorado.
So would it just be Colorado colleges then?
No,
Okay.
no, it has every college you can imagine. And this Occupational Outlook Handbook is the Bible for career counselors. And it is all on the Naviance program. And so anytime you want to look up a job and the description of a job, the future outlook for the job, the wages for the job, the credentials for the job, it gives you all that information. It also will let you take 2 colleges and compare them. I really feel that there's not much it can't do. And I've been using it for about a year, and I'm constantly discovering new things that it can do. So I don't know how many of you went to the Naviance session, but am I saying what he said? Yeah, it's really, we're lucky to have it.
There's over 5,000 universities and colleges out there, so.
Yeah, like, 5,000, that's, yeah. Yeah, I'd never looked up one that wasn't there, so I figured it's pretty easy.
I can go to it. Do parents get access to,
Well,
or just use their
that
login?
you use your student login, yeah. Any other questions? Well, my hope is that you go home and talk to your sons and daughters and tell them to follow their passions.